real human trafficking, Haiti with Operation Underground Railroad. These girls are being held against their will. They're holding their passports. They're from Dominican Republic. People were just giving us money. They're writing us like $5,000 and $10,000 checks.
Why are so many of these nonprofits so concentrated on Haiti, Philippines, Thailand, Colombia, Venezuela, all these places, but not here in the U.S.? What was your first experience with human trafficking?
My first, I would say probably real human trafficking, Haiti with Operation Underground Railroad was my first real experience with human trafficking. I saw it really what we target more as a law enforcement officer running domestics, where you see some of the stuff people live in or serving warrants, where you see some of the areas people live in, and you see these kids living in unbelievable squalor, but their parents, drug addicts or whatever, would sell their kids. They would, physically and sexually abuse their kids. They would, it's terrible. So, that is human trafficking by law, but in my mind, I didn't know that to be human trafficking until now, understanding what it actually is. But they would sell their kids. They would sell their kids to their buddy for sex for, $200. That's the type of people we're talking about. And you see that in law enforcement. Cops that are listening to this, they will tell you, yeah, they see it all the time, all over the nation.
How common is this?
Oh, it's super common. Wherever you go, it's super common. Kids selling themselves, people selling themselves. And a lot of it's drug and alcohol related. We know that. We see that being an issue. But yeah, it's very common. It's very common. So that's where I really started seeing it. I had a heart for it, and I would say Operation Underground Railroad in Haiti is where I first saw, like, holy crap, this is legit. These girls are being held against their will. They're holding their passports. They're from Dominican Republic, and did some work with them. So people were just giving us money, like people that wound up supporting my campaign later. They're like, hey, you're doing good work, and they would from church or that I knew, they're writing us like $5,000 and $10,000 checks. And so we were sitting with me and my wife, like, took it to my CPA. What do we do with this money? Do I give them an invoice from the Shooting Institute, or how does this work? He's like, no, you need to start a family foundation, a nonprofit or something. So that's where we looked at a couple different routes. We started the nonprofit, Covenant Rescue Group, got our 501c3 status in 2019, and we're off to the races, primarily looking at overseas stuff. And then when COVID...
Why? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I don't want to come across like there's something wrong with that. But one thing that does kind of captivate my interest is, I've looked at a lot of these nonprofits, and I do want to say too, it gets tricky in this. It gets tricky in any nonprofit space, but there does seem to be a lot of, I'm just going to say it, shit organizations out there that are in the combating human trafficking space that don't really do anything, and that seems to be kind of a mask.
Yeah.
Why are so many of these nonprofits, why are they so concentrated on Haiti, Philippines, Thailand, Colombia, Venezuela, Sudan, all these places, but not here in the U.S.?
Because it's easy to find there because of prostitution. Remember when I said that all prostitution is not human trafficking, but human trafficking is found in prostitution?
Mm-hmm.
So they're able to go to places, and a lot of times you get symbolism without substance. You get, hey, we're fighting human trafficking here, and really it's prostitution. You see that here. Law enforcement agencies do that. Hey, human trafficking ring, 72 human traffickers rolled up. That's a prostitution sting. And it's not human trafficking as we know it. And we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, kind of some of the issues that exist there. When you go overseas, you have more leeway to work than you do here stateside, because most of what organizations do stateside is illegal. The vigilante stuff, all that is illegal. So that's why you see that. And there's a lot of awareness stuff that people raise, a lot of awareness about it. I think a lot of people are aware about it. We just nobody knows exactly, what it is. Do you have people being strong-armed? Yes. Do you have kids being stolen off the streets? Yes. The immigrant situation really adds more to that. The illegal immigrant situation puts more people at risk for that. But other than that, you're not at risk of your kids being snatched and thrown into a human trafficking circle and never being found again. It does happen, but it's unbelievably rare. But the statistic, and these are from the DOJ, the American Psychiatric Association, they kind of coalesce and have a few statistics. I'll see if Steven can send them over to you so you have them. But um, the amount of kids, I'm kind of dial it in here to kids specifically. The amount of kids, if I remember right, it's 37% of children who are abused, sexually abused, or anything like that. It is from somebody who is
Close to
known.
them.
Yeah, that they know that person. Or no. 37% is family. 37% is family. 50% is somebody who knows them, a coach, a teacher, anything like that. 37% is a family member, so an uncle, a cousin, a father, a mother, whoever, and then that other 10 or 12%, 13%, whatever's left is just a random person. Okay, I'll send you the actual statistics.
Yeah,
I'm
that would
probably
be
a little
great.
bit off on my numbers there. I'm just going off of memory, but that is very interesting because when it's family based or when it's a person of trust, right? Somebody who knows who knows the kid, it looks different. It's reported differently. Maybe it's never reported. How many of these things are never reported? And then you see that lead into the prostitution, the pornography, all of that.
It's man, I'll tell you, Jared, ever since I started doing this show and that's, life stories is what I'm best at, I think. And and the amount of, especially guys like you and I who've gone to, special operations or the agency or wherever, I'll bet it's over 50% of them that I've interviewed that have dealt with some type of sexual trauma as a child,
Wow.
abuse, and I'll bet it's 50% that have come out and said that
Wow.
on camera about their childhood.
Yeah.
And then there's also a pretty big portion of the interviews where they've told me like, hey, I don't want to talk about this because it's been rectified. I've forgiven my dad or my grandpa or
Wow.
whoever it was, and so they don't want to.
And these are men.
These are grown men who talk about this, and I mean, shit. The episode we just did on Monday with Dale Stark, he talks about it.
Wow.
Being growing up in California and getting in the skateboard scene, and there's so many men have come on and women, as
Yeah.
me, Park, you brought that up, but it's alarming how it seems to be more common than not.
It is, and that's what we've learned, and that percentage is higher. And then what that drives people toward, or what that does to them for the rest of their life. You're looking at something that, I mean, how do you reset from that? My dad, like the little girl that we found, her dad was 18 months old. Her dad's having sex with her. She's not old enough to necessarily know, but she knows. I mean, there's something that happens there for the rest of that person's life. And can they work through it and deal with it? Yeah, but it is more common than not. And I don't know that we're seeing any more. We're seeing it more now than probably it used to be seen, but I think it's probably the same amount, right?
Yeah.
It's the same problem, different people. But looking at the kids, it is people that know them, so that looks different. So I would say here stateside, we really didn't start getting into that. We focused on overseas initially, like everybody does, because it's easy to get. And when COVID happened, you talk about the call of the Lord. We as an organization, I set the board down and said, we're not going to be able to go overseas like we were because of COVID. Like literally shut that down, like just close the doors on it. However, I'm still law enforcement. We're tied to law enforcement. Me and Mike and some of the team, we're going to go out and see if we can't start doing some operations with local law enforcement agencies. And that was a hard swing because there's a massive arrogance within law enforcement. They don't want to do that. So how we hooked it, we offered free tactical training on the front end, free pistol training, the nonprofit covered through TSI, my company. Pistol, CQB, whatever it is, we'll give you 1 day of free tactical training, but here's a trade-off. We've got to be able to do our sex trafficking operations program training with y'all and set up an op and make y'all run it. And that's how we started doing that.
Genius.
So that was the Lord.
How hard was that to sell?
not hard with the tactical training. And then it was about a year worth of that.
So your model, you gift a law enforcement agency a 1-day training package, and the only thing they have to do in return
Yeah.
is give you access to
Let us do the child exploitation
jurisdiction.
training. Yep, their jurisdiction. We do the child exploitation training with them, and we're not making arrests or prosecutions. We bring the prosecutor's office in. We say, guys, this is how you set up these types of ops. We help them set up that op, and they run that op with our oversight. It's like a ground branch type of model where we
what you were doing at BS.
That's exactly
VSO
stuff. Great. As a combat
you were doing.
advisor. That's exactly right. And so that's what we do. That's what we still do.
Fucking genius, man. So you get in, you make friends with them, and then you teach them, you take them on an op, you turn it over. This is how you do it.
That's it. And so one of the agencies we
That's
first
amazing.
started with, we made 11 arrests with them initially when we were there. No, that's not true. We made 19 arrests with this agency initially when we were there. Them making it over 2 nights of operations. We gave them the tactical training and all that. And they have done, I want to say 6 operations on their own now. Maybe it's 4. This is a couple years ago. But they've arrested like 190 people doing these operations.
190?
Yeah.
Just one?
Just under 200. Well, no, but over all of the operations they've done over the past few years. So
This is one law enforcement agency.
one law enforcement agency.
190.
Yep, close to Indianapolis. So with that being said, they put it this way. I'd love for them to be over 200. I know they're under 200, right? That's still a lot of people. They've done
a ton.
They've done 5 operations, and they've made this many arrests on people showing up to target kids, and they've honed it for them. So we give them hey, this is your template, and then they can hone it to match their prosecutorial jurisdiction, to match their agency, so they have a successful apprehension and prosecution. And that's what we do as an organization. We're not out there kicking doors and making arrests. If we are doing that, I'm doing that in my purview as a deputy where I'm sworn in Alabama, or as a TFO with Homeland Security if they say, hey, we've got this we want to do, or any of our guys that run their cases that are sworn within our organization, which are most of our guys. So we might do that with our agency, but Covenant Rescue Group is a funding platform to fund this training and then an operation for a law enforcement agency to show them this is how you can target people who are targeting kids in your community, and it happens in every community. We always get, buddy of mine's a sheriff down in South Alabama, said, hey man, you'll be lucky to get one down here, but you want to offer a SWAT training to us, we'll do it and let you set it up, but I don't think you're gonna have any success. We arrested 6 in 2 nights with them.
No kidding.
He was blown away. They had one hotel, and it was like a little meth monkey hotel. It was one of the ones, a motel with the outside doors, It wasn't like it was a nice upscale place. And we arrested 6 dudes showing up for children at that hotel.
You were the one that said that you didn't think you were going to pick anybody up, or the sheriff?
The sheriff told me that. I'm
Why
friends
did he
with the
think
sheriff.
that?
Because people don't believe this exists when they're in a community. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, that's big. That's a problem in Miami, or that's a problem in LA with the Diddy parties and all that stuff. That's where everybody's mind goes. But what they don't realize is what you just said. 50% of the dudes that you had come here sit and talk, it happens everywhere across the nation. And the guys that you're rolling and the ladies that you're rolling on these types of decoy operations, they have real victims. They have real victims, but most of them don't break the law to get caught for anything. You'll never find that kid who's a victim, because what recourse they have? This is my dad. Are you going to go to the cops and tell on my dad? They don't. Again, they're a kid. This is a person of trust in their life. It's a guardian over them, right? And so this guardian is doing a terrible job, and they're abusing this child. They're exploiting this child. They might be selling the child. A lot of it's child porn production, yada, yada, yada. But you have to find a way to catch them, and this is how you catch them. And when you make that arrest, you then find the victims. And I can't tell you how many phones we've gotten warrants and ripped the data off the phone. And you've already had a podcast about that, kind of how to find these guys, and all of the stuff that they're into. And you will find victims every single time. And our goal is to teach law enforcement agencies how to target these individuals who are targeting kids. So they're showing up for a 14-year-old girl, but in reality, they're messing with their 9-year-old niece.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.